Are you looking for new solutions in your region? Are you interested in learning from other European regions facing similar challenges?
With Interreg Europe, you can develop your interregional cooperation project and get co-financing from the European Union. You can team up with other regions in Europe, exchange your experience and improve your regional development policies.
At Interreg Europe, we help regions from across Europe to develop and deliver better policies by sharing solutions. You can work on any topic of the EU policy agenda by making Europe greener, smarter, more social, better connected, better governed, or closer to citizens.
Our first call of project proposals will open on the 5th of April and close on the 31st of May. At midday, hurry up and get ready to submit your application.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the fourth and last Q&A session of the first call for applications of the new programming period. Even though this is the last session, you are able to access this one and the previous ones on our website and make sure all of your questions are answered and addressed timely. This is to say that this session, like the previous ones, is recorded and accessible to you at any time on our website. My name is Anna, and I will be guiding you through this session for approximately an hour, more or less, depending on how active you are, how many questions you asked, and how many are we in this session. So far, it seems that we have over 100 participants, which is always a very good number. Plenty of you have already submitted questions in advance, so thank you very much for this. Today, I, of course, am not alone. Here to answer your questions are my colleagues, Ilaria and Camille, our policy and finance officers. So please say hi to our viewers this morning, Ilaria and Camille, even with a short wave, please.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Thank you very much. Also, someone without whom these sessions do not exist, someone who is always behind the scenes, our colleagues Petra and Josephine from the communications team. Petra and Josephine, apart from making sure that everything is technically in order, they will also be sharing some very useful information and links in the chat box. So please do keep an eye on the chat box, but also apart from keeping an eye on the information, you can also use the space to introduce yourselves, where you're from, which organization you represent. We're always very happy to see where you're connecting from, which organizations you're joining us from. One thing, however, you should not be using the chat box for is to ask questions, which is why we're here today. You can do this via Slido. Slido is a system you're probably already familiar from our previous events. You can access Slido with the QR code that you are seeing on your screen, or simply just logging in through the website of Slido with the hashtag first call questions. One thing we should ask you is to ask the questions using your full name in case we need to get back to you, connect based on any unsolved matter or maybe unanswered question in case we do not have time to cover everything today. Last thing I would like to remind you of before we go into the content of things is that today is the 20th of May. Oops. Someone's microphone seems to be turned on. So what I wanted to say is that today our Ask for Feedback section on the website is closing, as the call will be ending in a bit less than 11 days. So hopefully you made use of the tool while it was available. And now, before moving on to the actual questions, we would like to know how familiar you are with our program, how experienced you are in the program. So we will launch our first poll, which should be visible to you on your screens already. So please give us a quick answer. So the question is, are you familiar with Interreg Europe? Yes, I have taken part in an Interreg Europe project somewhat. I've applied, but was not successful, and not really. I've heard of the program. And have you taken part in any of the previous Q&A sessions? I think, okay, so we have quite a large number of already experienced participants here. 59% so far have already taken part in an Interreg Europe project. And then 40% approximately have heard of the program, but having first experience of applying. And approximately 50% of you seem to have taken part in a previous Q&A. So hopefully you're coming here to brush up some of the pending information before you are actually wrapping up your project applications. I believe that now that we have these results and that we pretty much know what the composition of our viewers are today, now that we've also reminded you of some of the basic principles and introduced it to our colleagues who will be answering your questions and assisting you today, if Ilaria and Camille are fine with it, I think we can move on to our questions. We will be starting with the question from Asia. You should be seeing it on your screen as well. So the question is, can we, as a lead partner, work with a region of our country where we are not directly located? So this is a bit of a broad question that can be answered through several angles. So I will be giving this one to Ilaria, please.
Thanks, Anna, for the question. Thanks, Asia, for asking this. We are not completely sure what you mean when you are saying directly located and work with the region. So we assume that you are referring, when saying work with the region, we assume that you are referring that you are addressing the same policy instrument, because this is the rationale of our program, which is aiming of improving regional development policy by exchanging knowledge and know-how between local and regional authorities all around Europe. So you need to have to select a policy instrument that you intend to improve based on the challenges and the issue addressed in your territory. So normally this the policy instrument and the partners addressing this policy should belong to the same ecosystem, to the same territory, because you need to be able to work on improving together this policy, be involved in the policy learning process, on the designing and developing and delivering this kind of policy. So you should belong to the same area, to the same territory. So I'm not sure if you are referring to this specific element, but please, Asia, you can complete the question and send the new elements to us. So to confirm, you should belong to the same territory if you are addressing the same policy instrument.
Okay, thank you, Ilaria. This was a good opportunity to be reminded of some of the core elements of Interreg Europe projects. Hopefully, Asia, this was satisfactory to you. But now we will be moving on to Camille, because we have questions from Daniel and Nicola, who are asking, how does the 20% co-financing work? Daniel is asking specifically for Spain, whether it can be something that can be covered with the cost of personnel or in a public university. And Nicola, on the other hand, is saying that whether the 20% can be financed with national funds, or they have to, or the partners have to cover it from their own funds. Camille, please.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It's two good questions to provide a reminder how the co-financing and the partner contribution work in Interreg Europe. So as you know, in Interreg Europe, the co-financing ERDF received by the partners depend on the legal status of these partners. So it's 80% co-financing rate for public authorities or body governed by public law, and 70% for private non-profit bodies. And so then the 20% or 30% remaining is what we call in our jargon the partner contribution. And this can come from the budget, the own budget of the partner organization, or from other sources. So indeed, the 20% of partner contribution of public authority can come from the funding, the own funding of the organization or university, for instance. And the person, Danielle, was also mentioning Spain, so it's also the opportunity to remind that in case you have specific country-related questions or doubt, you are welcome to contact directly your national point of contact who can help you in these national specific questions. And then regarding the question of Nicola, the partner own contribution can come from their own budget indeed, but it can come from other sources. In some country, there is a national co-financing on this. So in case you need to check, my colleague Josephine is sharing the link to the section in our website, the In My Country section, where you can find the contact of your national point of contact.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Camille. I think this was rather straightforward. And now back to you, Ilaria. Annabella wants to know, can a municipality serve as a partner? I think this is also another question where we can use the opportunity to lay it out a bit on the partnership side. Please, Ilaria.
Yes, exactly. We can really link to my previous comment regarding the rationale of the program. I can already reply and confirm, yes, of course, a municipality can participate in our project as a partner. As I was mentioning, the objective of the program is to help support local, regional, national public authorities to work together in order of improving, be more effective at implementing their policy, their specific policy. So this is our target groups, the core target groups. We work with public authorities. When we say region or regional development policy, these terms needs to be taken in a broad sense. So we mean any territory, any of the different administrative level, such as municipality, city, region, or also province or at national level. So also the municipal level is relevant for the program, and a municipality can indeed participate and address their own policy instrument.
Thank you very much, Ilaria. I think that should be rather clear. The answer to the question indeed is yes, of course, municipalities can be partners in Interreg Europe project. We have a question from John, which goes into a bit more depth when it comes to partnership specificities. So John is asking, one interesting partner municipality has established a public-private company. Could this organization be a partner in an Interreg Europe project? Ilaria.
I can remind here what are the bodies eligible to get funding, RDF funding from the program and participate as partners. So public authorities, public bodies, or body governed by public law, or private no-profit body. So these are the three categories, the three legal statuses that are eligible to get funding from our program. If your organization comply with one of these status, then yes, you are eligible. We cannot provide you a confirmation or a precise confirmation regarding this, because each partner state is responsible to confirm the legal status of the partners. So you need to check with the representative of your country directly to get the confirmation. And you can check in our website, there is a dedicated section in My Country where you can find the contact for each partner states.
Yeah. John also had a sub-question which is related to this in a way.
Sí, espera, que estoy con... Lo tengo como de...
Could you please turn off your microphones? Thank you. So John is also interested in... So he's saying that their interested regional partners often do not have policy instrumental powers which are with the central ministry. How, in this case, are they supposed to compose a partnership? So how do we make sure that those institutions that actually have policy responsibility get included in a partnership, Ilaria?
Yes, this is also an important question because we are touching an important aspect, an important concept of the program, which is the policy responsible authority. As I was mentioning at the beginning, our goal is to really improve regional development policy. So we need to have the policy responsible authority, so the organization that are responsible for developing, designing, and delivering those authorities. We need to get them on board. If we want to have the chance to achieve those improvements, this impact. So we need to make sure that the policymakers are on board in the partnership. So you need to first start from what you want to improve in your territory, how you can do it. So through a policy instrument, you need to first identify what is the policy instrument that you intend to address, which is the starting point. And then you should identify who is responsible for this policy instrument in order to ensure that this authority is involved in the project as a partner. If this is not possible, they should be involved as an associated policy authority. So in case the ministry, in your specific case, is not, let's say, willing to participate as directly as a partner in your project, then they should be involved as an associated policy authority, which is a new status. They are part of the stakeholder group. They don't have a budget, but their costs for traveling and accommodation can be covered by the relevant partner, and they need to provide a declaration that they are committed to participate, to be involved in the project, to support the relevant partner in achieving this policy change. So you need to build your partnership in this way, and to make sure that the relevant responsible authorities are on board and they can participate in the project.
Thank you very much, Ilaria. Now let's give Ilaria a bit of a breather and jump to a question which is for Camille, and it's concerning advisory partners from Joanna. She's asking whether an advisory partner will receive a 70 or 80% co-financing. Does it depend on the type of organization? Camille, please.
Yeah, the question provides the answer. Indeed, for any type of partners, whether it's a partner or an advisory partner, the co-financing will depend on the legal status. So as I said earlier, the co-financing is 80% for public authorities or body governed by public law and 70% for private nonprofit. So depending on the legal status of this advisory partner, the co-financing will be one of these two.
Yeah. Hopefully this was helpful to you. Anna Sofia is asking whether one region, in this particular case, South, whether they can assess only one policy instrument and whether this policy instrument can be under construction. So under construction, I would assume would mean that it's still a draft policy instrument, which has not yet been approved. Ilaria, please, can a region only assess one policy instrument and whether this policy instrument can be under construction?
Thanks for the question. Regarding the first question, I would say that each participating region must focus on one main policy instrument. So you should focus on one policy instrument per region and should be the one that is relevant for the challenging that you want to address, that is relevant for the territorial needs, and the one that you have the chance to improve thanks to the exchange of experience process. So in the application form, you will need to select one policy instrument. And this is, again, the way you build the application. Then in the course of the implementation, you may be able or you may manage to improve another policy. thanks to the learning outcomes from the exchange of experience activities, but this can be reported later on in the progress report. So there is a possibility that the same policy instrument is addressed by several partners. As I was mentioning before, you have the the policy responsible authority, like the regional authority addressing the regional strategy, for instance, which is in the partnership together with another organization addressing the same policy, like, I don't know, a business development agency. So two partners from the same region addressing the same policy instrument. So this is possible, but each participating region must focus on one policy instrument. Regarding the second question, regarding this draft policy instruments, you cannot work on something that does not exist or is not, let's say, operational yet, because in the application form, you need to provide information on this policy instrument. So you need to be able to provide information on the content, on the main feature of this policy, and how this is connected to your territorial context and to the challenge, to the issue that you are addressing. So it's a bit different when we talk about operational programs, this new generation of operational programs from 2020 to 2027. In this case, it's possible in the sense that we know that they will be approved soon by the Commission. They are working now, the partner states, on the finalization of those policies. So they are quite advanced with the design and the finalization, and we know already about the content. So in this case, it's indeed possible to address this kind of policy.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ilaria. You're giving very, very extensive answers, which I think cover a number of questions, but it's inevitable that some of these questions overlap in a way. And the next one is going to be one of these. Joanna is asking whether, so she's saying, we are an NGO and we are not a policy responsible body. Is the consortium eligible only with our participation, or do we need to involve a public authority next to us that will be responsible for the policy? In the case yes, which in this case is yes, will this authority join as a partner or as an associated policy authority? Ilaria, please.
Yes, if you are not the policy responsible authority, then you need to involve them. There is a requirement, there is a eligibility criterion, number 7, that for at least 50% of the policy instrument addressing the project, the policy responsible authority needs to be involved in as partner in the project. So this is an important requirement, and you need to take this into consideration. And as I was mentioning, if you are not the policy responsible authority for the instrument that you intend to address, then you need to get involved this authority as a partner. If this is not the case, is not possible, then the other option that this authority will be involved as an associated policy authority. This is the new status that I was mentioning at the beginning, that they are part in the stakeholder group, and they need to provide a specific declaration to prove their commitment to the project.
Yes.
I hope this is clear for Joanna.
Yeah, hopefully. Now it's time for you, Ila, to take a bit of water. Camille, Daniela wants to know, can they plan costs for the preparation of an action plan?
That's a good question, and it's the opportunity to remind a difference with the new program compared to the previous period. In the new program, only partners that do not achieve a policy change in the core phase of the project will need to produce an action plan. So it means that the program expectation is that you focus on achieving a policy change during the core phase, and as a consequence, we do not expect to see costs planned in the application form for the preparation of an action plan, because in any case, if this need arises, if there is a need to produce an action plan because no policy change was achieved in the core phase, the action plan will be a simple and straightforward document that will be integrated directly in the progress report. So we don't really expect you to need any external support to produce it. So no external cost for the preparation of the action plan.
Thank you, Camille. Hopefully this was clear. Now a bit on eligible activities, Ilaria. Susanna wants to know if an online event can be defined as an interregional policy learning event. Can you tell us a bit more about what kind of events, what kind of activities can be eligible in terms of policy learning events?
Yes, this is a very interesting question from Susanna. We can tackle different aspects. What first of all, I want to clarify, it is not about the format of the event itself, if it's in person or online, but it's about the content and the scope of the event itself. So if this online event is about the exchange of experience among the partner on successful approaches, on innovative and interesting practices, then this is the case. We can consider it as an interregional policy learning event. So it depends on the content and the scope of this event. There is a specific output indicator related to the number of policy learning events organized, and we consider under this indicator those events that are focused on the exchange of experience among the partners. So at least 2 partners need to be involved in this exchange of experience activity. It could be as defined in the program manual, study visit, thematic workshops, staff exchange, peer reviews. These are the type of activities that can be planned among this category of interregional policy learning events. Then to clarify that, for instance, public relation events aiming at disseminating the results or the information of the project itself, or local or regional events with stakeholders, these are not considered under the output indicator regarding the interregional policy learning events.
Excellent. As you can tell, answers to these questions are never straightforward and are never simple. So we use this event as an opportunity to give you a bit of a more broad context instead of answering with yes or no. When it comes to minimums and maximums in the program, if there are such things, Telemachos wants to know if there's a minimum of policy instruments that need to be addressed in a project. Ilaria, how do we approach this?
There is no specific limitation or restriction on the number of policy instrument addressed in total. This is related to the program gives recommendations regarding this. This is related to the number of participating regions involved in the project, in a project application. So we, as you can find in the program manual, we let's say envisage a partnership composed from 5 to 8 partners that are addressing policy instrument. You can go beyond this, of course, but the more partners you have, more complex could be the implementation and the management of such a large partnership, but it's indeed possible. So it's up to you to choose the relevant partners, to select the relevant policy instruments that are covered by the regional thematic issue and challenge that you want to address. So you should not underestimate the complexity of managing a big partnership, but of course it's possible. There is no specific limitation. And yes, I would say then I think, yeah, this is all. I don't know if you have anything to add, Anna, but I think, yes, I think it's clear.
I think there will be plenty of questions, and there have been already plenty of questions which have approached this issue from different angles. So I believe that by the end of the session, we will be covering each of them. And now, when it comes to a question which is pilot related, I think both of you can refer to this one. Diana is asking, actually Diana is saying that one of their organization is going to be an associated partner, and if they would like to implement a pilot action, and as an associated partner they do not have a budget, where should their pilot budget be included? In the organization's budget, and who will be the responsible organizations for the implementation, the main partner or the associated partner? So I think this question kind of approaches the question of implementation of pilot actions from both a budget and implementary perspective. So maybe Camille first on the budgeting side, how do we budget an associated partner in a pilot?
Yeah, I think it's good that the question also reminds that associated policy authorities do not have a budget, even though their travel and accommodation costs can be covered by the partner in the project under external expertise and services cost category. And this same rationale applies to pilot actions. So it means that the partner in the project should be in charge of the implementation of the pilot action. But of course, if the associated policy authority is eager to participate in the activities of the project and of the pilot action, and is eager to be involved and have a budget for this, then my recommendation would be that this authority comes as a partner directly in the project to be involved in the activities and to be able to report costs and have a budget.
Excellent. Ilaria, do you want to maybe add something on specifically on this recommendation on involving the partner, associated partner as an actual partner in order to implement?
Yes, no, as Camille was saying, indeed, the associated policy authority is not a partner in the project. They are part of the stakeholder group. So if, as I was mentioning, our goal is to get them on board as a partner, to have the organization that are really responsible for those policies to be in our project as partner and participate actively in the project activities. So in this case, our recommendation is really if they are willing to test implement something in order to improve a specific policy instrument, because also pilot action has the ultimate goal to achieve a policy change. They are linked related to a policy instrument. So if they are willing to do this, then they should participate in the project as a partner. So this is our recommendation.
While we are on the topic of pilots, we have two questions that have arrived a few minutes ago from Anna and Magali. Anna is asking, should they include the cost for pilot actions if the pilot action will be identified and approved at the core stage? And she says that they plan to have the pilot action at the follow-up stage. So should they already plan the budget when applying for the project? And Magali is asking along the lines of this, if you want to organize a pilot after the midterm review, how do you apply then? Can you still get funding for a pilot following the midterm review? I think this is one of those questions for both of you. So whichever wants to, maybe Camille, because the cost for pilot actions, which will be implemented during the follow-up phase, should they be included in the budget already during the application?
Yeah, I think Anna is referring to this possibility to integrate a pilot action at midterm review. And for this, so basically, just to give a bit of a context, you have two possibilities. Either you integrate a request for a pilot action at application stage, and in this case, obviously, you also need to budget costs for this pilot action, so to integrate the budget related to the pilot action in the whole budget of the project. Then, if you want to request and propose a pilot action at midterm review, then the budget will be submitted at the same time that the proposal at the midterm review, meaning that we will organize around midterm of the core phase meeting with the joint secretariat and the lead partner to see a bit how the project is going, to review the budget. And this is the opportunity to submit a request for a pilot action. And in this case, the budget will also be submitted at that time, and depending on the spending situation of the project, additional funding could be granted if they are needed to implement this pilot action.
Mm-hmm. And Ila, on the second part, on how do you apply for a pilot if you do not want to start it from the beginning of the project? How does that work?
Yes, there is this process is defined and explained in the program manual, so you can also have a look at this more in details in section 3.2, I guess, regarding the pilot action, so the activities that are allowed within our projects. But we foreseen to launch a call, a restricted call, of course, for the running projects, for the relevant projects of 4 weeks. So this needs to be decided. But yes, we will launch this call. So you will apply, you will propose your pilot, and then this will be assessed internally by the JS, and then the monitoring committee of the program will decide on the final approval. So this is really an insight of this process, but this will be discussed, of course, during the midterm review meeting towards the end of the core phase. So it's something that you should not worry now, but what is important maybe to say that there is a limitation regarding the number of pilot action that you can request, and you can request up to 1 pilot per region, per territory. So this is important to keep in mind, regardless if it was requested at the beginning in the core phase or at the midterm.
Thank you very much, Ilaria. Just to summarize a bit, all of these elements concerning different ways of applying for pilot actions, all of this, as Ilaria said, and most answers to your questions in general, and kind of like a main guiding document for any questions concerning any aspect of project implementation can be found in our program manual. And you can find the program manual on our website in the Look for Funding section, the latest version, along with the terms of reference. So these are your core documents for any kind of reference that we will be making today. A financial question. I think I'm going to do a couple of financial questions now. First one is from Alex, who wants to know what type of justification do you expect for a partner choosing real costs reporting for travel and accommodation costs? Camille, what kind of justification do you expect?
Yeah, so as you know, this is a new feature on finance side of this new program, the flat rate of 15% of the staff costs for to cover travel and accommodation costs. First, I would like to say that this flat rate comes first from the regulation. It is there. At the program level, we carried out a statistical analysis based on the previous programming period and the cost reported by our projects to see if this flat rate could fit the needs of our projects, and it was the case from the analysis we carried out. So this is why we are offering this new feature and we're actually pushing project partners to opt for this option for several reasons. But the main one is that it's a real simplification when planning the budget first, because it's much easier. You don't need to estimate every single trip you will undertake during the project's lifetime, but also when reporting the costs, because you will not have to keep every single supporting document, every single ticket to prove that you took the train, the bus, the metro, and you will just have the flat rate directly appearing in the progress report. Of course, for some partners, we could understand that they opt out from this feature, but it's very limited to specific cases, and mainly for partners located in a geographical area like outermost regions where travel costs might be more expensive. But this is a very limited situation that we could accept, where we could see justification. Otherwise, we really encourage all partners to go for this for the flat rate. Because we really think that this is a simplification, and even though you may think that the flat rate might not cover all the costs, first of all, as I said before, we have carried out the statistical analysis, and we are convinced that this flat rate of 15% of the staff cost should be able to cover your travel and accommodation cost. But in addition, think also about the efforts you would need to put in keeping the tickets for the reporting, for audit trail, and the time you will gain with this flat rate. This is also something you need to consider. So my advice, and I wouldn't say it's enough. I really see it as a simplification and go for the simplest options.
Thank you very much, Camille. Yes, I think the main takeaway is we have chosen simplification options, so you should fully embrace them. More for you, Camille. Valeria wants to know, should all partners plan costs for the verification of expenditure?
Yes, so the answer is no. In some countries with a centralized control system, the verification of expenditure is done free of charge. So to know if you need to plan costs or not, you can go on our website. In the section country-specific information, you will find an Excel table you can download with the summary of the control systems for each country for the 2021-2027 programming period, with the indication about the system. So you'll see if you need to plan costs for the verification of expenditure or not.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Camille. So we have a couple of technical questions, some of which we will be able to address and some of which we will probably not be able to give you a full picture. So the first one is from Andreas. He is asking whether the proposal will have to be submitted in the system from a user, which is the legal representative, or this is not mandatory. All partners should have permission in the system. Is there a manual for the tool that you will be using? Does any one of you want to maybe address this question, at least partially?
Yeah, I can provide an answer. Actually, there are several questions in this one, so I will try to explain as much as I can. First of all, is there a manual for the tool? No, but there are tutorials in the system which applicants can access by clicking on the blue question mark sign. There are also automatic checks in the system that will block the submission if there are sections which should be filled that are incomplete. You also have some tutorials integrated there directly to help you to fill some sections, especially for related to the budget, the external expertise and services section, where you have access to a video to help you fill this part. But regarding the submission, it's true you can create and fill a project proposal using any email address, but it should be submitted by a lead partner representative, as it contains the lead partner declaration, where the lead partner provides several confirmation. So to do this, you can add the lead partner representative to the project as a user. There is a user section at the bottom of the left side menu in the portal, and give them admin access so they can submit the project when it's ready. And finally, regarding the permissions in the system, each project partner and associated policy authority involved in the project must get a legal representative assigned in the application form. It's not possible to submit the application form without a legal representative for each partner and each associated policy authority. So again, this can be done in the section user permission. The portal will ask for an email address, what user rights you want to give to this person, the first and last name, and depending if the user is already or not registered, this will send an invitation email to the address that will be indicated in the system, and then the person will be able to complete their profile on the community from this link. So hopefully I provided a long, extensive answer, but
I think you said everything.
Yeah, if you have more.
Yes.
In case of more questions, don't hesitate to also contact us on the info@Interreg Europe email address. We will be, regarding technical side, we will be able to also provide you assistance on this.
Yes, as Camille said, all of the questions that maybe are on the technical side of things, which we are not able to answer, you can address them to info@interregeurope.eu. There was another question which was related to the system. I have actually lost it at the moment, but the question was on the information on the organizations which is present in the system from Johanna. The partner information in the online application. So the organization shows up in the drop-down menu, but the information is incomplete. For example, the zip code is missing, and the organization is unable to edit the information. Is it okay for them to use the option to create new organization? I think this is something that will have to be addressed through email. So we would like to ask Johanna to maybe ask this question via email, unless Camille and Ilaria would want to address any of it.
No, I have to say that on this, unless Ilaria has something to add, it's a very specific question, technical question. So as you said, I would recommend to send this question to the email address info@interregeurope.eu.
And now we're moving on to you, Ilaria, with the question on the role. The question is from Alicia, which is the role and conditions of the advisory partner of the lead partner? Can we give a bit of a insight of what the idea behind including an advisory partner, what the recommendations by the program are?
Yes, I think she's referring to the fact that the lead partner can have the role of advisory. So we don't make a distinction when talking about the role of the lead partner, so coordinating the project, having this specific requirement. We don't make a distinction between partner or advisory partner. And that's why in the program manual, if you go in the section related to the lead partner role, you cannot find this distinction, because the advisory partner is considered a partner in the partnership. So the advisory partner can take on the role of a lead partner as well, so under the same condition as a normal, let's say, lead partner. And the advisory partner can, the lead partner can either addressing a policy instrument, a specific policy instrument, so it's a normal partner, let's say, or providing a specific support to the entire partnership on a specific aspect of the project implementation or a thematic related content. And in this case, is considered advisory partner. But when talking about the role of a lead partner, there is no distinction between advisor or a lead partner. I hope it was clear for Alicia. Again, if she needs more information, she can contact us or write in Slido or have a look also at the program manual.
Yes, thank you very much, Ilaria. I believe it was clear. And now a question a bit more about planning activities, planning exchanges. So Renata wants to know on the question of staff exchange, should they already define which partner is traveling where, or is it okay to plan, for instance, from semester 3 without concrete distribution of regions? So generally, if I understand correctly, the question is, how detailed does the planning on specific activities, traveling, and all of this logistics need to be in the work plan?
Maybe I can start. I can take the question more on the content side, and then Camilla, please complete any aspect related to the budget. Regarding, yes, staff exchange. So I would say that you don't need necessarily mention in the work plan that, I don't know, this partner will go to visit that partner, because you, as you mentioned in your question, you need to first start the analysis to get to know, to start exchanging, identify the relevant approaches, practices, and as a, let's say, second step, you then will organize these staff exchanges that can be on a bilateral base or can involve more partners, specifically on a specific approach or practice experience coming from another partner. So my recommendation is that we need to, what is important for us to understand the scope of this activity, the objective, why you are going to do this. So this has to be explained in the work plan in detail. What is the interlink also with the other activities, how this fits in the general, let's say, policy learning process. So it's important to get this information, so we understand what is the logic behind, what is the purpose. Then, and you need, of course, to quantify in general how many staff exchanges together with other type of activities or events. So this is very important. And then you have in the application form a section dedicated to the project approach in general, where you again explain a bit the rationale and the methodology that you would like to apply to your process, learning process.
Thank you, Ilaria. I think this was also quite extensive and clear. And now an easier one, maybe a bit more concrete, straightforward. Ilenia wants to know, is it possible to be a lead partner in one project and a partner in another proposal in the same call with a different specific objective?
Yes, it is. I can confirm that this is possible. There are no, we cannot prevent them to participate in different project proposals. So this is, there are no formal, let's say, restrictions about this. However, our recommendation is to really be strategic as much as possible, to be focused, so to select only the most relevant project application, the ones that really fit your needs, your territorial needs, your challenges, what you want to do, what you want to improve. So to be really very strategic and focus on the most relevant one. Of course, if you will be involved in several project applications, you will need to provide a justification. There is a dedicated section in the application form under the policy instrument section, where you explain the competencies of the organization, but also you need to provide justification why you are involved in many applications, and you need to prove the capacity that you can do this, so in terms of financial means, human resources. Of course, for bigger organizations with many departments, this might be easier to demonstrate, but it's something that needs to be justified in the application form.
Yes. Thank you, Ilaria. Camille, Stefan wants to know, so he's explaining that during the previous programming period, their budget for travel accommodation was under 10% and was even reported lower than that. Could that be the justification to use real cost versus flat rate of 15%? How do we approach? You already mentioned some of the aspects of this, but maybe you would want to reiterate something, because this question keeps reappearing as well in our inboxes.
Yeah, I will repeat a bit what I said earlier. You really need to think the flat rate of 15% for travel and accommodation as a simplification, and something that is made to ease your life when planning the budget, when reporting. When it comes to a flat rate, we have the flat rate for travel and accommodation, but you are also used, if you were involved in a project in the past, to the flat rate for administration, office and administration cost. We do not really look at real cost. So here, from what is described, the 15% flat rate would allow to cover the travel expenses of the partner. And in addition, because it's also mentioned in the question, I would be careful with comparison with the previous programming period, because it was a bit peculiar due to the outbreak of COVID-19 and the strong restriction for several months, we could even say years. So I would be careful with the comparison. In this situation, I would go for the flat rate, because it's not a case to opt out, what is described here. The flat rate seems to allow to cover the expenses, so go for it.
I think this was rather straightforward. I will quickly make a pause when it comes to the questions, in order to just emphasize that, as you can probably tell, that we're coming towards the end of our formal timing. It's 10:57. However, we will keep going for a while more, because the questions are relentlessly coming in. So we will be extending the session for a bit longer. However, in order to finalize at least this formal part of the session, I would like to ask my colleagues to maybe activate our second and last poll, so that we can get that out of the way before we continue with the questions. So it's basically our feedback on this Q&A session, even though we're still not done. The first question is, have we met your expectations? Yes or no, or how this Q&A session has been useful so far, but stay tuned because we are continuing with being useful for the upcoming minutes and see how far we can take it. But something tells me, considering the amount of questions that are coming in, that we will not be able to cover all of them, but we will try as much as we can. I see the answers are coming in and they are looking good, at least when it comes to us. It seems that a huge majority of you, at this point, 93%, say that this session has met your expectations. So this is very good news. Thank you very much. As I said in the beginning, not only that you will be able to access the recording of this session, you can also access the other 3 that we have organized earlier last month and this month. So hopefully with this, we will be covering all aspects of everything that you might be interested in. So yes, please feel free to connect on our website and try to find everything. If not, you know very well, especially those ones who are already experienced with the program, that we are always available and always accessible through our emails, and you can find our contacts on the project website. And now, not to lose any time, I would maybe continue with a couple of interesting questions that might be useful to the biggest number of people, seeing that we have limited time. The first one is from Joanna, who is referring to the geographical criteria, which I don't think we've covered so far. She's asking. So she's saying one of the eligibility criteria is to have participants from all 4 geographic areas. Did I understand well that at least one partner from each area has to be responsible for a policy instrument? I believe this one goes to you, Ilaria. So once again, the question reiterates that, which is correct, that participants have to be from all 4 geographical areas. And the question is whether at least one partner from each area has to be responsible for a policy instrument. I believe that we have already referred to this issue from a different angle, but maybe Ilaria, you would want to add anything.
Yes, I think, thanks, Joanna, for the question. I think we are mixing a bit 2 different eligibility criterion. We have the one related to the geographical coverage, as Joanna is mentioning, that we need to ensure that the 4 geographical areas defined by the program are covered. So this is the eligibility criterion 5. And it's very important because, as we didn't mention at the beginning, but we are a pan-European program covering all European Union countries, including Norway and Switzerland. So we need to ensure that the partnership goes beyond cross-border transnational areas. So this is very important. And we introduced this criterion in order to ensure that the partnership has this distribution in all corners of Europe. Then the second part of the question is referring, as we were mentioning at the beginning, about the criterion number 7 on the involvement of the policy responsible authority. And as I was mentioning at the beginning, there is the obligation for at least the 50% of the policy instrument addressed to get those authorities, those responsible policy responsible authority involved as a partner. So this is an obligation, a requirement for the remaining ones. So to consider again, to take this in consideration regarding the number of policy instruments. For the remaining ones, you need to involve those authorities as associated policy authority with this specific status of stakeholder.
Yes, thank you, Ilaria. I think this covers also a question from Nicola, who asked, each country involved in the project with public partners has to identify a policy instrument. I think this is this is something that we have addressed through several angles, but I don't know if you want to add anything, Ilaria, on this maybe specifically.
Yes, what I was mentioning at the beginning, that indeed each participating region, territory needs to identify one policy instrument, one main policy instrument, but then we can have cases when, for instance, the same policy instrument is addressed by several partners. Like I was mentioning at the beginning, we have a regional authority, I don't know, from Tuscany region, addressing a regional development strategy, together a business development agency, so two partners from the same region addressing the same policy instrument. And this is possible because also we say that of course, our main core target group are the policy responsible authority, public authorities working on the regional development policies, but we need also we are welcome also other type of organization that can be relevant in terms of the thematic scope for the policy instrument address. And so they can come together. So this country can then be represented by several partners.
I think this was clear enough as well. Thank you, Ilaria. Back to you, Camille, for some advice. Joanna is asking whether you have any advice on how to structure the budget for the follow-up phase. Is there a rule how much budget on what budget lines are allowed? What can you tell us about the follow-up phase and budgeting?
Yeah, so what I would say is that we expect you to focus on the follow-up phase in the monitoring of the effects of the policy improvements in the region. So in a way, we would still expect a lower budget compared to the core phase, because we also expect naturally the activities to be less intense and more limited in a way. At the same time, some interregional exchange of experience activities could also continue during the follow-up phase. So the budget should be planned also in a consistent way, meaning that, and this is an advice not only for this specific question, but in general, this is something very important for us when assessing your budget, is that the budget is consistent and coherent with the activities planned. So yeah, even though we expect the follow-up phase to be less intense in terms of activities, we still need to see the budget coherent compared to what you plan in your work plan for this phase.
Okay, thank you very much, Camille, for this. Ilaria, something that we have not tackled yet. Maria is having some question concerning the description of the stakeholder group in the portal. She's asking whether they have to provide a description in the stakeholder group field in the portal on how they will be involved. And if a region involves several municipalities as stakeholders, more than 10, she's specifying, I assume it would be okay if we group them under a category, for example, local authorities. So how do we deal with stakeholders? How do we define them? How do we introduce them in the portal? So what is the idea behind? Do we categorize them?
Yes, so they need, in the application form, they simply need to list those organizations that would be part of the stakeholder group. So they don't need to describe their role. They just need to provide the name of those organizations, and there is a field for each organization. So you can add more than one, and this is under the policy instrument section, because of course they are working, they are related to the policy instrument addressed by the partner. So this is on the technical side in the application form. So you list them one by one. This is of course an indicative list, so you can provide some in the application form, but then during the project implementation, of course, you may get in contact and involve additional relevant actors that are, can support you, can enrich the exchange of experience process and can support you in the achieving a policy change. So can be other new. Then content-wise, I think it would be important to explain how you intend to involve them in the project approach part of the application form in section C, where you explain a bit what is your methodology in general, how you're going to implement the learning process, what are the ingredients, the elements, and also how you're going to involve those organization, those type of actors, because they are very important. This is a compulsory requirement to have a stakeholder group. So you can describe on a general way how you're going to involve in part C, project approach, then you list them under the policy instrument section.
Yes. Thank you very much, Ilaria. There's one question which is interesting. I believe it should be primarily addressed to Camille. So Robert Nemeth is asking, we have an advisory partner who has no employees. They're working with individual persons with a contract other than an employment contract. Is it okay if they have only budget under external expertise and all other lines are zero? So how do we treat a situation like this, Camille?
Yeah, if the organization has no direct employees, then the costs should be planned under external expertise and services cost category. Because as you know, cost can be planned and then reported under staff cost only for people having a direct employment contract with the partner organization. But this is also the opportunity for me to remind that in Interreg Europe, we expect staff members of partner organizations to be the main beneficiaries of the project. So the configuration that is described here is possible, but it has to be really duly justified. And the relevance and the role of the partner should be well explained, and why the partner is not planning any staff costs. This should be really explained in the application form, because this is rather exceptional situation. We usually expect partner organizations to have a budget for the staff members. So yeah, possible. And indeed to be planned under external expertise and services, but to be justified.
Excellent. So Federico has two questions. The first one being on partner declaration. He's interested to know who signs the partner declaration, the high-level official, or it needs to be the regional minister, regional president. And in relation to that, is a PDF scan okay, and is digital signature okay? So what do we have to know about partner declaration? Who signs them and what format is acceptable?
Yes, I can take over the question. This is up to them to define who should sign. Normally is the representative of the partner organization or the person who has the power of signatory. So they need to see internally who has this power to sign this declaration. And yes, it's up to them. Then regarding the format, both options are fine, are eligible. So you can either use the template provided by the program to download the template and sign it and upload the PDF version, or use let's say we call it electronic signature. This is also possible as long as there is a proof of this electronic signature. So normally you have, depending of the tool that you are using, you have a code, you have a certificate, you have a number. So as long as there is evidence of this electronic signature, this is fine. Okay. I don't know if Camille wants to add anything, but...
Yeah, I think we answered all of the questions.
Maybe Anna, I would
Yes.
refer that they could check in the program manual also the section related to the submission of the application where we list all these elements.
Yes, of course. You know that in the program manual, we have tables with all of the eligibility criteria that we will be using. So these are not a secret. You can literally check your applications in a way that you go through the criteria, all of the questions that you need to make sure are answered correctly in order to make sure that your application is eligible, at least in a technical formal sense. So again, the program manual is your main reference. Federico has another question, which I will take over in order to give colleagues maybe a minute to. Yes, exactly. The question is, as I announced earlier, the feedback service stops today. If we send our documents today, when we can reasonably expect your feedback? I would assume that by documents, you mean you will be submitting your project proposal or your project idea. If you submit it, you will receive feedback on your project idea. It is a bit difficult to say when. Usually, we are very responsive and very agile when it comes to this. However, you understand that it is that we are very busy with a lot of project proposals, so we take a couple of days probably to treat the proposals and get back to you, depending on the complexity of your proposal and the type of feedback. So please do submit your proposals, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. That's the most diplomatic answer we can give you. I don't know if colleagues want to add anything on this, or this was straightforward enough. Now a bit on some of the main principles when it comes to, not principles, but some of the main rules when it comes to budgeting, Camille. So Anna and Ingrid have a couple of questions. The first one is, what is the right approach in calculating the staff cost? What staff categories should be included? And Ingrid has a quick one, actually. You can also include it in your answer. Is the project preparation an eligible cost?
Yeah, I'll start with the question on preparation costs because it's the simplest one. Preparation costs are eligible. However, you don't have to budget them because they are integrated in the lump sum for preparation cost. Of 17,500 euro that is integrated directly to the lead partner budget in case your proposal is approved, and that will be included to the lead partner's expenditure with the first progress report. So eligible, but included in the lump sum, and then of course to be decided internally in your program, in your partnership. We expect you to share this with your partners according to the level of involvement during the preparation of the application, and we also expect you to agree on this distribution in the partnership agreement. So that was the answer for the preparation cost. Now, when it comes to staff cost, I'm not sure to understand what you mean by staff categories, but what I can say is that staff costs for staff members involved in the project are eligible and need to be included in the application form. As you know, there is now one single method to calculate the staff cost. It's a fixed percentage. So you first need to identify which person in your organization who will be involved in the project activities, and then depending on the activities of the project and the level of involvement of your organization in these activities, you need to come up with a percentage of the time this person or persons will dedicate to the project. And on this, because I also don't want to start making a whole presentation on staff cost calculation, but I would also recommend you to watch the recording of the lead applicant webinar that is on our website. In this webinar, there were several videos that were integrated. One of them covers cost categories and how you need to plan and calculate your staff costs. So I recommend you to watch it if you need more information, and to also check the section of the program manual.
Thank you very much, Camille. We have an interesting technical question. Johanna wants to know, or actually Johanna is stating that the partner declaration does not have a place for name, only signature and stamp. Is that sufficient? I think Ila,
yeah.
you can
sorry, I was off the microphone. Yes, it's fine. This is normal. So it's she needs to use the program template. So signature and stamp is completely fine. Yes.
Yes, yes, this is a rather straightforward
so
one.
you
yes.
can use the program template, you fill in, and then you upload this as a PDF, or you use, yes, so this is fine.
If I can
Yes, please.
complete on this, just so you know, the functionality to have the partner declaration automatically generated in the system will be available next week, most probably from Tuesday. And this is also the opportunity for me to mention that the submission button to allow you to submit your application form should be made available at the same time. So probably Tuesday next week.
Very good. Thank you very much to both of you. We will be taking a couple of more questions, and I'm afraid we will have to wrap up because the questions keep coming in and we are not able to go through them as fast as we would like to, and it's already 11:20. So let's try to cover a few more, and I'm afraid we will have to slowly close. Ilaria, Cecilia wants to know, if a region has not yet approved an ERDF operational plan, what other policy instruments could be considered? Which other policy instruments do we find relevant for the program?
So of course, it depends on the regional challenge, the issue address, the territorial needs, what you want to tackle through your project, what you want to improve, what is the topic that you are that you would like to address. So depending on this, so you define what you want to improve, what is the regional challenge, the issue in your territory that you want to address. Then you need to identify what is the relevant policy instrument for this, how this regional challenge is covered by the policy instrument, and so you identify the relevant policy instrument. So it could be an operational program, an investment for jobs and growth program financed through RDF, and I would like to remind here another eligibility criterion, number 6, that at least one of the policy instrument address needs to be an investment for growth and for jobs and growth program. So this is important to remember. What I was mentioning at the beginning, even if these kind of programs have not been officially approved yet, you can still refer to this, you can still address this new generation of operational programs from 2020 to 2027, since we know that they are about to be finalized and approved officially by the European Commission. Of course, you need to have a fair idea of the content of these programs, and in order to be able to indicate how you're going to improve this, what are the elements, the specific priorities, the specific objective that you want to address, and the elements that you want to improve. Then you can also address any other type of policy, can be any local, regional, or national policy instrument, any strategy, plan, program that is managed by public authorities, municipalities at a different administrative level that involves regional development intervention. I mean, of intervention. So could be any type of policy instrument.
Yeah, Thank you very much, Ilaria. And I believe these will be the two last questions. They are completely different. First one is from Anna, who is asking for pilot actions that will be requested and implemented during the follow-up phase, whether the pilot actions also need to be kind of like filled into the application form already at the application stage. So those pilots that will be applied for during the midterm review and implemented in the follow-up phase, should they already include them in the application stage of the project? Ila.
No, as we were mentioning before, you can either request a pilot action at the beginning of the project when you are preparing the application form, and there is a dedicated section under the policy instrument, and you explain, you plan the activities, and you explain the nature of the pilot, and this will be implemented during the core phase, should be finalized by the end of the core phase, or you request the pilot action during the midterm review meeting that is normally foreseen towards the end of the core phase, 1 year before the end of the core phase. And so this possibility will be discussed during the midterm review meeting. So you don't need to include this type of activity in the follow-up phase because it's not relevant for the moment at the application stage.
Okay, thank you very much. I think this was also quite clear. And now a final question, which is always rather popular and also very difficult to answer straightforward, but we do have some tips. Alicia Sanchez wants to know whether a continuation of an Interreg Europe project is allowed with added value and more technical topics, but with some shared partners. So under which conditions, or are there any conditions under which we would finance a continuation of an Interreg Europe project, Ilaria?
This is an important question. Thanks, Alicia, because we didn't tackle this aspect, and it's a very important concept and principle that we take into consideration when assessing your proposal. This is also defined in the program manual. You can see this element of the innovative character as we define among the criteria indicated regarding the qualitative assessment. So the objective of the program is not to finance a continuation of previous projects that were financed, supported under the current program. So we are not there to finance the same project with the same partners with the same topic. So this is very important to keep in mind, because you need to, there is a dedicated section in the application form to demonstrate, you need to demonstrate what is the innovative character of your proposal, what is the added value that you are bringing, your project is bringing compared to the past or current initiatives supported by the program. So you need to make sure that you are bringing an added value, and you can demonstrate this either through the partnership. So there is a different partnership, and this is very important. Maybe just one or two partners from the previous experience will be present in the new application. Then also by the topic address, so you are addressing a completely different topic, or if it's under the same, let's say, thematic area, you are now focusing on a specific angle and specific element. And then the third element is also through the nature of the activities, through the project approach. So you may have a different methodology, propose different activities. So all these elements needs to be taken into consideration when designing your project proposal, to make sure that this goes beyond what has been already supported and financed by the program.
Thank you, Ilaria. I think this was a very good question to wrap things up with. Before I close the session, could you please give us, if you have any final tips and advice for our applicants, because, you know, it's 11 days until the end of the call. So maybe some last minute tips and tricks for our applicants. Either of you, please.
Yeah, I can give the final tips. My main advice and recommendation would really be to make use of all the resources available. First of all, the program manual, which is the most important document for you, for us. So we cannot recommend enough to go and check in the program manual. There are a lot of things there. But then related to the preparation of these calls, we also made a lot of webinars and Q&A sessions. Everything is available on our website and on our YouTube channel, so you can find all the recordings of the 4 Q&A sessions that took place. And also, because I saw a question on Slido about this, we don't have a document with all the questions asked, but all the recordings are online. We also had the lead applicant webinar with videos, tutorial videos explaining you how to plan your budget, how to prepare your application, your communication strategy. So everything is on our website, and there were also Q&A sessions. So again, a lot of resources available there. Also in the portal, you have some guidance to help you in this tool. You just need to click on the blue question mark. So go through this, check these resources. You might find, I'm pretty sure you'll find your answer there. If you have any other questions, we are also available, so you can also contact us on our email address info@Interreg Europe in case of also technical questions. As I said earlier, the submission button will be soon be available, so you will be soon be able to submit your application. And last but not least, because I also saw a question about the deadline for the call. So yeah, the call will close on 31st of May, but we also are already preparing the second call. The plan is to have more or less 1 call per year, and most probably second call would be launched beginning of next year, in the first semester of next year. So these are the information we can share at this stage, and we wish you good luck also with the preparation and finalization of your application form.
Thank you very much, Camille. You have basically taken over my wrap-up part of the session. So thank you very much, Ilaria and Camille. You have definitely deserved an extensive lunch break. Thank you also to all of the participants for your activity and your interest in the program. To a large number of questions we have received, we have really tried to select, selected the largest coverage of topics. So please excuse us for all the questions that remain unanswered. You can, of course, I got a couple of direct messages as well asking me whether the unanswered questions can be addressed to us. Yes, please, as Camille also emphasized, please write to us on info@interregeurope.eu with all the questions that you find very important that you did not receive an answer to. Hopefully this session was useful for you, and this will be the last bit that will help you to finalize your applications. Again, I would like to finish with reminding you that all of the relevant information is available for you on our website, and of course on the other side of your email inbox from us. This brings us to the end of our session. We wish you the best of luck with your applications and have a nice day. Good luck.